Arlington Public Library. Welcome to Storytime. I've been enjoying the wintry, snowy weather this week, and I've been really grateful for my hats, scarves, and mittens that have been keeping me warm. So today, I want to share a song with you about bundling up, and I have a flannel board that shows you some of the things I like to wear when the weather gets cold. One of the things I like to wear is a sweater. I'm going to wear a sweater, a sweater, a sweater. I'm going to wear a sweater when I go out today. When I go out, when I go out, when I go out, when I go out. I'm going to wear a sweater when I go out today. In the past couple days, I've needed my snow overalls. Here they are. I'm going to wear my overalls, overalls, overalls. I'm going to wear my overalls when I go out today. When I go out, when I go out, when I go out, when I go out. I'm going to wear my overalls when I go out today. Let's see, what else should I wear? How about a hat? I'm going to take a hat, a hat, a hat. I'm going to take a hat when I go out today. When I go out, when I go out, when I go out, when I go out. I'm going to take a hat when I go out today. Well, I can't forget my boots, can I? So here are my boots. I'm going to put my boots on, my boots on, my boots on. I'm going to put my boots on when I go out today. When I go out, when I go out, when I go out, when I go out. I'm going to put my boots on when I go out today. And I can't forget my mittens. I never leave home without my mittens in winter. I'm going to wear my mittens, my mittens, my mittens. I'm going to wear my mittens when I go out today. When I go out, when I go out, when I go out, when I go out. I'm going to wear my mittens when I go out today. Well, today I want to tell you the story of the mitten. My story and version of the mitten is very much inspired by this book, The Mitten by Jan Brett. It was winter, so once again it was time for Nicky's mom to knit him a brand new pair of mittens. When it came time for Nicky to pick out the yarn for the mittens, he did not choose the ball of blue-green yarn, even though it felt as warm as a cup of cocoa. He did not choose the bright orange yarn, even though it was the same color and as soft as his new kitten. Instead, Nicky wanted mittens knitted out of yarn as white as snow. But his mother said, white mittens will get dirty easily. Plus, if you lose one in the snow, you'll never find it. But Nicky insisted, so in the end, his mother knit him the pair of bright white mittens he wanted. On the first day it snowed, Nicky rushed out with his mittens, but soon enough one dropped and was left behind. Along came a mole who was tired from tunneling around in the snow. He saw the mitten and asked, "What's that?" He crept in to look inside, and he found that it was so soft and so warm and just the right size for him that he settled down for a nap. As he was dozing, along came a squirrel. The squirrel peered in the mitten and said with chattering teeth, "It's chilly out here. Any chance that there's room for me inside?" Well, the mole took one look at the shivery squirrel and said, "Come right on in." The squirrel made himself his way in, and the mitten grew just a little bigger to fit the squirrel and the mole. Along came a porcupine. It was starting to snow, and the porcupine was damp from looking under wet leaves for his breakfast. He peered in and saw the mole and the squirrel. He said, in his politest voice, "Excuse me, do you think there's any room for a traveler who's trying to find his way outside the storm?" Well, the mole and the squirrel weren't sure that they really wanted to share their mitten with a porcupine, but they knew better than to upset an animal with such sharp quills. So they let the porcupine in and gave him a lot of room. The mitten stretched even bigger to fit all the animals. Down flew a crow, who wanted to see what all the commotion was about. He peered in the mitten and said, "I caught in the storm. Any chance there's room for me?" Well, it was getting a little crowded in the mitten, but when the animals saw the crow's sharp beak, they moved aside. The mitten stretched even bigger to fit all the animals. Along came a fox. He sniffed around. "Is that squirrel I smell, or mole?" He followed the scent to the mitten, which had now grown to many times its original size. He peered in and saw all the animals safe and warm inside. This made him drowsy, so he nuzzled his way into the mitten. The other animals found that it was very rude of a fox to just barge his way in without asking first, but when they saw the fox's sharp teeth, they moved aside and let him in. The mitten grew even bigger. Along ambled a moose. He saw the enormous mitten with all the animals inside, and not one to be left out of the cold. He said, "Move over, moose coming through." Well, the animals grumbled. They didn't think that an animal as big as a moose would fit inside the mitten, but they knew better than to argue with an animal with such big antlers. So the moose pressed himself in. Amazingly, the mitten swelled and swelled to many times its original size, but Nikki's mom's good knitting held tight. It became dark, and along came a mouse. The mouse crept silently into the mitten and made himself at home on the moose's big, wet nose. Nobody noticed he was there, not even the moose. That is, until the mouse's whiskers tickled the moose's nose. This caused the moose to erupt in a great big sneeze. Achoo! Which sent the mouse flying. Squeak, squeak, eek. Next, the moose shot out. Moo! Out flew the fox. Next came a very confused and disoriented crow. Caw. The porcupine popped out. He was all puffed out. And a poor squirrel plopped down in the snow. Last of all, the poor mole, tired, cold, and unhappy, tumbled out of the mitten. And just then, while the mitten was shooting through the sky, Nicky walked home in search of his lost mitten. He saw the white mitten silhouetted against the blue sky and caught it in midair. When he got home, his mother was surprised to see that he had both mittens, but she had a few questions. And that's the story of the mitten. So I have a song for you about a family who likes to wear really bright, colorful mittens. This is Mommy's mitten. It's purple. Mommy wore a purple mitten, purple mitten, purple mitten. Mommy wore a purple mitten all day long. This is Daddy's mitten. It's red with a star on it. Daddy wore a red star mitten, red star mitten, red star mitten. Daddy wore a red star mitten all day long. La la la, la 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 la. his sister's mitten. It's stripy. Sister wore a stripy mitten, stripy mitten, stripy mitten. Sister wore a stripy mitten all day long. Brother has polka dot mittens that are green. Brother wore green polka dot mittens, polka dot mittens, polka dot mittens. Brother wore green polka dot mittens all day long. La la la, la la la, la 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 la, la 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 la. And these are baby's mittens. These zigzags are called chevrons. Baby wore chevron mittens, chevron mittens, chevron mittens. Baby wore chevron mittens all day long, all day long. Well, we're almost out of time for story time, but before I go, I better bundle up to go outside. So I have my hat here. Where should I put my hat? Should I put my hat on my feet? No, that's silly. Let's put my hat on my head where it belongs. A hat goes on my head. A hat goes on my head in winter time to keep me warm. A hat goes on my head. I am grateful for my warm and colorful scarf. Should I put that on my head too? No! Let's put that around my neck. That will keep me nice and toasty. I'm going to wear a scarf. I'm going to wear a scarf in winter time to keep me warm. I'm going to wear a scarf. And where should I put my boots? Should I put them on my hands? Well, how am I going to play my ukulele? Let's put my boots on my feet. Boots go on my feet. My boots go on my feet in winter time to keep me warm. My boots go on my feet. And like I said, I never leave home in winter without my mittens. Here are my mittens. They're very special mittens that are fingerless so that I can still play the ukulele while I wear my mittens. They go on my hands, right? Mittens go on my hands, mittens go on my hands in winter time to keep me warm. Mittens go on my hands. Well, thank you for tuning into Storytime and bundling up with me. Don't forget to visit library.arlingtonva.us to look for books and for ideas to share with your young child. Bye from Arlington Public Library.